Hello everyone. Today we'll focus on an essential part of research writing, defining research objectives. What are research objectives? Research objectives are precise statements that describe what your research aims to achieve. They outline the specific goals your study will pursue to address the research problem. In simple terms, if your research problem is the question, then your research objectives are the answers you seek. Why are research objectives important? Well-defined research objectives guide your entire research process, from data collection to analysis. They help you stay focused and avoid unnecessary information. They also provide clarity to readers, supervisors, and evaluators. In fact, clear objectives ensure that your research remains structured, purposeful, and meaningful. How to write effective research objectives. The three-step approach to writing clear and research-oriented objectives. Step 1 is to align your objectives with your research problem. Your objectives must directly connect to your research problem or gap. For example, suppose your research problem is, why do Urdu medium students face difficulties in using digital learning tools? Your objectives could be to identify the key digital literacy challenges faced by Urdu medium students, to investigate the impact of language barriers on their use of digital platforms, and to evaluate the effectiveness of digital learning strategies for Urdu medium students. Each objective should focus on addressing a specific aspect of your research problem. Step 2 is to use clear, action-oriented language. Research objectives must start with strong action verbs that reflect measurable outcomes. For descriptive objectives, use verbs like identify, describe, or explore. For comparative objectives, use verbs like compare, analyze, or evaluate. And for causal objectives, use verbs like determine, assess, or examine. Alright, let's look at a couple of examples. First, you might want to examine the relationship between digital literacy levels and academic performance among Urdu medium students. Or maybe you'd like to assess the effectiveness of a digital training program designed for Urdu medium teachers. Now, for step 3, remember to follow the SMART principle. Your objectives should be specific, meaning focused and well-defined. They should be measurable, so you can evaluate them using clear criteria. Also, make sure they're achievable, realistic within your resources. Keep them relevant, directly linked to your research problem. And finally, they should be time-bound, so you can achieve them within your research timeline. Here's an example of a SMART objective. To develop a 6-week digital literacy intervention for Urdu medium students and measure its impact on their ability to use educational apps effectively. Let's try an example in practice. Suppose your research topic is the impact of social media on academic performance in college students. Your objectives could be to investigate the relationship between social media usage and student study habits. Another objective might be to examine the impact of social media on students' concentration and focus. And you could also compare the academic performance of students who actively use social media with those who do not. Here's a final tip. Aim for 3 to 5 objectives, with each one focusing on a different aspect of your study. Try to avoid overly broad or vague statements. Remember, clearly defined research objectives will give your research clear direction and purpose. In the next session, we'll move forward by discussing how to formulate a strong research hypothesis. See you soon.